What's happening, everybody? Electro rock fusion drummer Sebastian Thomson of Trans Am and Baroness stopped by for a second appearance on the Crash Bang Boom podcast. A double dipping, if you will. But he and I caught up just prior to the fantastic new Baroness record being released entitled Gold and Grey, where we talked a good bit about the process of writing and recording it, working with new guitarist Gina Gleason, a nightmarish Trans Am tour in Europe, Stewart, Copeland, John Bonham, drums in general, and a whole lot more. So hope you dig it. And on the topic of records, shout out to my sponsor, New Orleans Record Press. If you're looking at released vinyl, go on over to NewOrleansRecordPress.com to check out the packaging, mastering, electroplating, lacquer cutting options, as well as a real-time quote generator, and they print both 12 and 7-inch records in both 150 and 180 gram variants. And no shortage of ridiculously killer color options, glittery vinyl coloring options, and patterns, and all the good psychedelic stuff you want on a record if that's what you feel like you want. And they print small runs of 100 and runs up in the thousands. Need assistance with design or have further questions? Give them a holler, and that's NewOrleansRecordPress.com. Crash Bang Boom Podcast is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, and more. Give me a like, a follow, a subscription, or a review. It'd be greatly appreciated. Alrighty then, let's get into it. Sebastian Thomson. New Baroness record Gold and Grey is out and about every which way you can get it. And in addition to rocking some sick riffs, fills, lines, harmonies, guitar harmonies, and the lot, you know the art and packaging is going to be awesome as well. So get up on it. Here we go, y'all. Sebastian Thomson, Crash Bang Boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.
All right, Sebastian Thomson, without a P, what's happening, man?
Thank you. That's right, man. Without a P.
I know, but you know, despite acknowledging that when I say it, I do pronounce the P in it.
You know, apparently Thompson with the P is the English, and Thompson without the P is the Scottish.
Ah, okay.
Version. Yeah.
Scottish versus English. Okay,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on the new Baroness record, what I've heard
Thank
of
you.
it. I think y'all put out 3 songs thus far.
Right on, we did.
All
Yeah.
sound killer. I'm anxious to
Sick.
talk to you about the fusion-y aspect of it that I
Yeah,
hear maybe
right
a little
on.
bit more of.
Okay, yeah.
In this one. And yeah, you know, I was rewinding back. I did not go back and listen to our last interview, which was like 2.5 years ago. It was quite some time ago.
I think we talked about Alex Van Halen.
We did, because we were talking about rototoms.
Right.
And that inevitably led to that.
Which, you know, I don't know if we got into this, but they're technically, they weren't rototoms. They were the Pearl version of rototoms.
Do they call them something else?
They had another name because I think rototom is a trademark of Remo.
Oh, okay. Remo rototoms.
Right.
Okay.
So they're just like rototoms, but on the hoop they have like a centimeter of like shell. They like look slightly different.
Whoa. Okay.
They don't change the sound. I don't think.
This is probably deja vu. I'm sure we probably.
This is some really fucking. I'm going to say this is some really deep, stupid early '80s Alex Van Halen bullshit right now. I'm giving you.
Right on. Fair enough, man. The last time I saw you, you were out with Trans Am. Y'all had just put out California Hotel.
Yep.
And you were leaving the next day, I believe, to go on a European tour. But tell me about what happened, because I saw you shortly later that day, and there was a little bit of a shit show that ensued.
So what happened was that what time of year was that? There was some holiday. Was it like Memorial Day or something? I think it was Memorial Day.
Okay.
So I live in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, as do you.
Yes.
For listeners out there who might know, that's like Northwest Brooklyn. So my friend has a van, and the 2 other Trans Am guys were here. My friend was like, hey, I'll drive you guys to Newark.
Yeah.
Right, to the airport. We're like sick. And, you know, we check Google Maps. It says, okay, you know, an hour and a half. You know, at night it takes like half an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
During the day, traffic, an hour and a half. We were like, okay, let's give ourselves like 3 hours.
Yeah.
To get there 4 hours early. Like, we were super responsible. Sorry, I just burped. We were being so super responsible. Like, we knew it was going to be trafficy.
Yep.
We knew, and we got stuck in traffic in Lower Manhattan, and we literally didn't move from like the same block for about 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Nobody
Just
could
total
move.
gridlock.
And people were freaking out, as were we. And I mean, we would have gotten on the subway, but we all had
All of your equipment?
all of our equipment. We had my snare, my cymbals, we had the 2 or 3 guitars, we had 2 or 3 synth cases, and it's just the 3 of us.
Right.
It was too much to walk with. So we couldn't take a cab, we couldn't take the subway. So we just sat there in this, just watching the time pass, and you know, and you go through those, like, what are the 7 phases of whatever, you know, acceptance and anger and whatever, and it was fucking crazy.
Wow.
But luckily, you know, and we got there like 2 hours later, whatever. This is even with the amount of like wiggle room we gave ourselves.
Yeah.
But luckily, whatever, the airline was cool. We got on a flight the next day, but we ended up missing our first show in Paris.
Ah, dude.
And then it continued. Then we arrive in Paris, you know, we just go to a hotel, we miss the show, and then we start our tour, but my cymbals don't show up. So then, you know, if you're, most people travel and they stay somewhere, right? I don't think airlines realize when you're a band on tour, you're in a different city every night. So they're like, well, give us an address where we can send you the luggage when it arrives. And I'm like, well, it depends when it arrives.
Oh, boy.
So I can either be optimistic and give you, like, where we're staying in 2 days.
Right.
Or I can be more realistic and tell you where we're going to be in 4 days, you know? And so you have to, like, guess. And then, like, it became this thing every day of, like, calling the airline, you know, and, like, it took maybe, it was a short tour. It was a 2-week tour.
Wow.
I don't think I got my cymbals until, like, day 9 or 10. And it was, like, this total, like, I had to go to, like, the French, like, post office to pick it up because the guy at the club didn't show up. It was, like, this whole fucking thing. Whatever. First world problems. But still, being on tour, it can be a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah. God, that would be a dampening experience. I imagine that fucking with my psyche a little bit.
Definitely. And like I had to borrow cymbals every night.
Oh, fuck.
And I remember posting on Instagram, like every day I'd post like the drums set up with, you know, with the stands and no cymbals on them.
Oh, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and just being like day 3, frowny face or whatever, you know.
Holy moly, man.
Whatever. In Trans Am, I use like totally fucked up broken cymbals. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
So they're all kind of trashy intentionally.
Yeah. So before it was all said and done, you did get some of your clothes, some of your equipment, and you were able to finish off the tour with
I had the clothes. It was just the cymbals that were missing.
Okay, Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow, what a pain in the balls.
Yeah, it was a fun tour. That was a great tour.
Damn, dude.
That was the last proper Trans Am tour. That was like over 2 years ago.
Yeah. Now with Trans Am, what year did y'all start?
We started playing in like 90.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I'm old. We were in high school.
Wow.
But we started using the name in 93. And then our first album was released in 97. Recorded 96, released 97.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a long time, man.
It's been a long time.
Long time to be at it.
Yeah, I just actually, Phil, the guitarist, just sent me a screenshot of somebody on Twitter talking about iTunes shutting down the download part of iTunes.
Are they actually going to do that?
Yeah, and there's like this screenshot of Steve Jobs talking, and at some point in like 99 or 2000, and there's a list of songs behind him on like a projector kind of thing, and it's like, yeah, it's Trans Am, whatever. Like it's like whatever was like, I don't know, people were downloading in like 2000. It was just funny. It was like a time capsule.
Well, when is that supposed to go into effect? Do you know?
Any day now.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So it'll just be streaming.
It'll just be streaming.
So aside from going to band camps, I guess, and purchasing music there, where if you wanted to purchase or non-physical, just digital.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't pay for downloads anymore.
You stream.
I stream.
Yeah, I buy records. I buy CDs.
I buy records and I stream, but I don't pay for downloads.
I see. I still buy it as well.
Well, normally when you buy vinyl nowadays, you get a download code.
I get old records from the 70s, so that shit ain't
right. There's no download.
Like, yeah, sweet. I got this download card from 1970.
It's gonna be like 2-bit.
Yeah, exactly. Worst MP3 ever. What is this garbage? Oh man. So also the last time I saw you, I don't believe Gina, the new guitarist, had entered Baroness at that time. I don't believe either. So
correct.
You now have a new guitarist doing all of the vocal harmonies, all the guitar minis,
yep.
Some solo-ins,
yes.
all kinds of cool shit happening.
Yeah.
How has that been up in the mix?
It's been amazing. I mean, both personally and musically. She's super fun, super cool. We have a great time on tour. We hang out. And she's an awesome musician. Total shredder.
Yeah.
Like she actually, we have not really let her loose, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, because she's such a. I mean, the thing with Baroness is that it's not. We don't have like traditional solos. They're more like composed lead parts, and that's what John likes, and that's cool. It's good to have. It's like a game. A game is fun because there are limits and rules.
Yeah.
Right. So rules maybe is the wrong word, but there are things that we try to stick to.
Sure.
So we really, like I said, we really haven't uncaged Gina in that sense.
Right.
Because she's a very capable soloist.
Even with some framework, every now and then you want to go off-roading, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
Get a little mud on the tires.
Right, but framework, you're right. That's a better word than rules.
Yeah. Well, you might have to do before it's all said and done. Just give her a few bars and let her rip, man.
Yeah. I mean, she is actually like there. On stage we try to do some like interstitial sort of atmospheric,
Yes.
jamming between
I
songs,
noticed that, yeah.
and she does some of that, and that's really sick. And that's just her own thing, which is awesome.
Nice. Gold and Grey. I was a fan of the Purple record as well.
Right on, thank you.
Dug your drumming, dug the songs, and from what I've heard thus far, this seems to be an interesting extension of that. Just with, as I was saying, maybe some fusion aspects to it. Nick's bass playing in particular, I feel like he's killing.
A shredder.
He's
a little louder than Nick's on this album.
Oh yeah.
I feel like yeah. I mean, he's once again Nick and Gina are both total shredders.
Yeah.
John and I are like capable rock musicians, but I think that's a good mix. You know,
sure.
If everybody is a shredder, it might. I don't know.
think of some bands that are, and I'm not.
I mean,
so
we can all
crazy.
play. I'm not saying
Right.
John's an incredible musician. I'm just saying that like John and I are not. We couldn't. I mean, I've done some sessions, but I'm not like a session musician.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do my things.
Yes.
I think Nick and Gina could be session players. They're more studied. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. And that is a skill set in and of itself.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a reward to just playing by your own rules and doing that, but I certainly do expect people's capabilities and being able to fit into a certain framework once again on someone else's project and
Yes.
bring some of themselves
Yeah.
and heighten whatever it is that they're supporting. So
Yeah.
I do respect that.
I mean,
as well.
there's the cool thing about music is that there's 100 ways to do it right.
Yeah.
So
I like that. It's so optimistic.
well, it's true. It's like you can be Maureen Tucker, right, and play a floor tom and snare in Velvet Underground, right?
Yep.
And that's awesome.
True. Yeah.
Or you could be fucking Thomas Lang.
Right.
They're both awesome and completely different. Like it's
No
cool.
doubt about
Whatever, you know.
Yeah. For recording the drums for this, I know for the Purple album, for instance, and even going back through Trans Am, you were always one of the things that struck me about your playing was your ability to sort of repeat figures and really kind of adhere to that really, really solid.
Trans Am was really about. It was very much. Was minimal, repetitive, hypnotic was the idea.
Hence this sort of electronic sort of
and then
element
the
to it.
idea of having slight changes.
Right.
And we were talking about Stewart Copeland earlier. I do think, even though I don't play like him, I don't have his chops, but he is an influence in the sense that, and the Police were an influence on Trans Am in the sense that you have sometimes a bass line that just goes and repeats, and the groove is a repetitive backbeat groove, but there's all these slight sort of improvisational things that he's doing.
Yeah.
That it's not a drum solo. He's not doing fills.
Right.
He's just adding and taking away things here and there. And that's kind of what I did in Trans Am.
Okay.
Which happens to a lesser extent in Baroness. Baroness is less about maintaining a like motoric groove. It's more Baroque. It's more like there's more decorations on it if you were to make like a visual analogy,
Right. Yeah.
Like, let's put it this way.
Okay.
Trans Am is like, brutalist modern architecture.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Baroness is like a Baroque or maybe neoclassical. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's different.
Lost too long above the stars. Turn the tethers down. I got so high I'm satisfied. Never coming back.
with Purple, how much of that did you compose in the form of fills and whatnot? Are you one of those guys that really likes to map everything out?
Purple was completely mapped out.
Okay.
I went to the studio and I
thought I saw a video of it a while back.
yeah,
Where,
I literally like played the songs the way I rehearsed them, did 2 takes for each song.
like fills and everything?
Yeah, totally. I had written everything out. I mean, there were some small modifications. I think on Try to Disappear, there was a bit of little jamming in the bridge section. But apart from that, it was pretty much... I mean, obviously, you make some small adjustments in the studio.
Yeah.
And every, sometimes we would take the first half of one take and splice it on the second half of another take. But it was pretty much written out. And that was true of kind of everybody in the band.
Okay.
But this time on Gold and Grey, I think there's 17 tracks on the album, and around 10 of them are band tracks, or 11 or 12. I don't remember. Anyways, there's stuff that's just acoustic or just synth, stuff like that. But stuff that's full band, we only maybe had 4 or 5 songs written when we went to the studio.
Wow.
So we had to, and all of us, including myself, had to write in the studio, write my drum parts.
I've never done that.
And it was...
You must have been stressed the fuck out.
It was fucking stressful. I mean, it was a really fun time because Dave Fridman, our producer on the record, is awesome to work with, and he's a great musician, but he's also like, you have to be like a sort of like a coach or something sometimes in the studio.
Yes.
Or a camp counselor,
for
or something
sure.
something like that.
Beyond just offering instrumental and creative advice.
And so it was cool, and I think all 4 of us in the band are very opinionated musicians.
Yeah.
And so we spent so much time debating like what we liked and didn't like.
That's the thing. That's why you do it before you get to the studio.
I know, but I have to commend ourselves, and this is a skill I learned with Trans Am. We know how to disagree without pissing each other off.
That's amazing.
And that's for anybody out there who's thinking about playing in a band. I think that's a huge piece of advice.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to disagree without being a dick.
Right.
And one of the techniques you use is you say, this part you wrote here is awesome. This part here is not as good. And if you say it like that, they're going to be like, oh, I guess he's got a point.
Uh-huh.
If you just constantly shoot everything down, people are just going to get pissed off with you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like as a trick to like manipulate people. I'm saying it like there are cool things that your bandmates do.
Sure.
Let them know.
Right.
Because if you only express the criticisms, then people will get pissed off with you.
For sure.
And they'll get defensive. But anyway, we spent so much time being like, I don't know, I think this riff it's too major. We got to change this, whatever, or this chord progression's got to repeat here, or this beat sounds too much like that, whatever the case. And everything was discussed. Like, Baroness is a very sort of like analytical band.
Yeah.
Like everything is thought. John is a very analytical person. Everything is thought out. There's not a lot of just intuitive gut feeling stuff.
Yeah.
It's all very left side of the brain.
Yes.
But you know what? It was fun. It was like 2-week sessions, so 4 weeks total of working and writing and talking and debating. But debating like in a very excited way, and so of course somebody had to relent every now and again, and when they did, or when I did, or whoever, it was fine. You have to trust your bandmates.
Yeah.
If you're getting outvoted, there's probably a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was cool too, because that Dave's studio has 2 live rooms.
That's what I was going to ask. So, are y'all recording live?
We would split up.
Okay.
And like somebody would be doing guitar overdubs, and Nick and I would be in the other room working out a new groove. Nick's the bass player.
Yes.
We'd be doing just working, coming up with new feels and grooves, and then we would like switch off and take turns and whatever.
Nice.
And did we record live? Yeah. I mean, there's one song that's it's a take of us just playing, like basically a jam. That has maybe like one edit in
with
it.
The rooms you were able to get the isolation and everything, and still like
totally.
That's awesome.
It was actually on that take. I was in the B room, which is down the hall and kind of isolated. And this was late at night, like at 11, and all the lights were off in the studio, so I couldn't see anybody.
Really?
I just had the monitors,
just playing in the dark.
And I was playing in the dark, and I couldn't even make visual cues or get visual cues.
Right.
It was kind of awesome. It was because it was like like I guess like they say blind people just pay more attention.
Yes.
So it was fun. The guitars are overdubbed.
Yeah.
Sure. The bass and drums recorded together usually. Sometimes we would, after working on something for a couple of days, maybe we would record the drums to a click track, just me.
Yeah.
With some scratch tracks.
Yeah.
Because we were writing the studio, like there were bunch of songs that had to be, like I said, first third was from one take and another take and a third take, And so when the album was finally done, like now we're going to start touring this album, I have to like learn these songs. That I was just kind of like messing around in the studio.
Wow.
And we pieced it together, and now I'm like, why did I do it like that? I'm like learning these parts that I played a year ago.
Do you find ultimately what landed on the record kind of interesting given the process in which it was created? Like, does it have a difference to you that is, I would imagine hopefully is good?
I mean, it gels, obviously because I was part of the process, I know how it was made, but for a listener, like that's not an issue.
Sure.
Like when you listen to a record, you're not like, oh, well, they obviously overdubbed this guitar part. You don't care.
No.
Right?
No.
So, but now it's all gelled. I mean, and also the vocals, there was no vocals when we were tracking.
Yeah.
And the vocals really made the song stick together.
Right.
Because sometimes a song without vocals can sound like just a couple of parts strung together.
For sure.
So that was awesome, hearing the songs with the vocals.
Wow. Damn, man. And the kit that you used, is it the same kit that you used on Purple?
I had two kits. So I'm a Ludwig guy, but I was a Ludwig guy before the endorsement.
Right.
Which is totally awesome.
Absolutely.
And so I have both kits are 22, 12, 13, 16. The other one also has an 18-4 tom.
Right on.
And the new one's a Maple Classic, and the old one is like a 70s. It's like it's so old that it has the reinforcement rings. Mm-hmm. So it's probably like, what is it, like probably 3-ply with the reinforcement hoops on the top and bottom. Yeah. It sounds pretty sick. It was on all the Trans Am albums.
Okay.
And so for the Baroness session, I had both kits set up, one in each room.
Wow.
And for example, like the 70s kit, I put coated heads on it to make it, have more of a classic rock vibe. And for the new kit, I put clear heads for a more sort of like maybe 80s metal vibe. I don't know. I don't even know what people play nowadays. But.
Yeah. When you hear the different drums at different times, I mean, now that I know that, I'll probably listen
to it. It's actually not so clear because Dave puts like so much stuff in the mix. Yeah. It's not like a pristine mix.
Sure.
So it's not actually that obvious. So there's different drum kits.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Right on.
Yeah.
During the process of what parts you were able to write, or even during the process of writing this stuff on the fly in the studio, like you're talking about, were there any particular drummers or any music in particular that you were digging at the time that you feel may have affected your playing?
This is going to sound really weird.
No.
But it was me. and okay, so I'm kind of making a joke, but I'm being kind of serious. Like when we did Purple, my concern was to continue the legacy of Alan who was the previous drummer in Baroness. Uh-huh. And so I did that on Purple. And on this album, I was like, you know what? I'm going to add some of my more traditional sort of Trans Am grooves.
Okay.
And so it was kind of like, I sort of added some of my older stuff that I hadn't done in a while from a new perspective,
Yeah.
I know that sounds like, a weird answer, but that was kind of what happened.
I could see that.
The other thing that happened was we were just way more open this time, more accepting. Purple was a rock album.
Right.
And that was partly like due to Nick and myself being like stoked to be in a hard rock band and like, let's just fucking make a totally kick-ass rock album.
Right.
Because I've been in like this experimental band my whole life. Let's just fucking make a rock album. So, but now that we did that on gold&grey, we just were way more accepting of people's ideas.
So I was listening to this new record, or at least one of the songs. I noticed it sounded like you're playing some blast beats. So what's happening with that, man? When did this become part of the repertoire?
So what's happening with that is we were writing the song Seasons, and it was this sort of arpeggiated guitar part that John came up with. And we were trying to figure out what groove to play along to that. And Gina said, as a joke, we should play a blast beat here. And I was like, okay. Yeah. And I did, as a joke. Uh-huh. And then we all stopped and we were like, that is actually totally awesome.
Yeah.
And we should do it. And the funny thing is, so we did a tour of Death Heaven this spring.
Oh, who plays blast beats all the time?
But this song that we're talking about was recorded a year and a half ago, right? And so we released the song online, and one of the comments was like, they tours with Death Heaven once, right? And now they're like playing blast beats,
right?
And I was like, no, dude.
We recorded it like this year ago, prior to the tour.
We didn't like record, mix, and release the song like the week after the tour.
Working fast.
Yeah, but I like to sometimes add stuff to albums that I'm not really great at yet until we track it, just to push myself.
Yeah.
Like there's also a linear groove on one of the songs. I was like, it's not really one of the things I normally do, but I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I wrote this groove, and I forced myself to learn it.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, it's on the album.
Nice.
And then you know how to play it.
Right.
So it's like, it's like, I think that's a cool thing to do. Is just be like, because if you just are like, I'm going to learn everything in general and be a better drummer, you're just like swamped.
No, of course.
You just got to be like, I'm going to try to learn this thing in the next 6 months and try to get this. And then you're like, you look back and you're like, whoa, I had no idea how to do this 6 months ago.
Yeah. And especially working it out within a musical context, you know, that's obviously that much cooler.
Yes, and also having it like a real world deadline, like a show
Yes.
or a recording or something.
Yeah. Well, now when playing those songs that you have some of those parts in that you might not have otherwise played previously, and transition in and out of those parts, does that become a challenge at all, or does it just feel natural?
No, now it feels natural, and that's
cool.
Honestly, whenever I'm working on something and I'm like getting frustrated, I'm like, fuck, I can't get this. I'm like, oh, and I'm like sort of like, I sit back and I'm like, you know what? There's like a pretty shuffle on Purple that I never did that well until I was like, I'm gonna teach myself this.
Yeah.
And now I do it totally fine.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got to remind yourself there were things that you could not do and now you can do. So whenever you get super frustrated, just be like, just calm down, relax, come back to it tomorrow. You're gonna learn it. You know?
So constructive criticism within the band,
Totally,
and choosing your battles with what you want to learn on the drums,
and reminding yourself that you have learned shit in the past.
There you go.
When you get frustrated.
Fucking A, man. Lessons by Sebastian Thomson.
I know. So it happens when you're my age.
Wisdom, brother. Wisdom.
Right on.
Well, we mentioned Stewart Copeland a little bit earlier. Totally one of my all-time favorite drummers, and I met him recently.
Oh, I want to hear this.
It was ridiculous. So we went out. I'm wearing like a tank top. I was probably a little hungover. I think my eyes were probably slightly bloodshot. And I'm sitting eating brunch with my wife and my son, and I'm facing the back of the restaurant, and in walks Stewart Copeland for a second. Yeah, in Williamsburg.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, he walks in and walks back out, and I just put my fork down, and I said, babe, I got to go run outside real quick.
Yeah.
And I just ran outside, and I like tapped him on his shoulder, and he turns around and he looks at me, and I probably look a little crazy, shaved head, you know. And his first line, it was fun. I said, Stewart Copeland. He said, turns around and he's like, hey, and he goes, do I owe you any money? And I was like, oh, good one, you know. And then I just told him, I do this drumming podcast.
Yeah.
Like I was stumbling over my words, sounding like a fucking asshole, probably making it fairly awkward well during it. But I was pretty starstruck.
Yeah, that's one that I would be starstruck with Stewart Copeland. I mean, he is like a hero of yours and a hero of mine. I mean, this guy is like, he's top.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's Stewart Copeland and Bonzo. That's it.
Right.
Those are the two guys.
Yeah. He's certainly, I was talking to Stanton Moore, and he likes to say that he's got his Magnificent Seven and his Baker's Dozen. Okay. And so, for sure, for no doubt about it, he's in my Magnificent Seven and at the upper echelons of the Magnificent Seven, for sure. There's, you had mentioned sort of his drumming style, and what it is on the recordings is a lot tighter and more consistent, I would say.
Yeah.
But if you listen to some of the live early Police stuff, when he's playing it super fast.
I was checking out some videos the other day.
Dude, I love that shit.
You know what I gotta say? I see videos on YouTube of people explaining Stewart Copeland stuff, and they're just like sort of like tapping on the kit. I'm like, have you watched videos of him playing? He's fucking destroying the drum kit
with a conventional grip, no less.
Yeah, with a traditional grip, and he's just like, he's like laying into it so hard. It's so punk, you know?
Right.
And like he's just like, wailing and flailing. It's fucking awesome.
It is so badass. I mean, the energy that he interjected
Yes.
into it is so phenomenal, and just the hybrid of the reggae slash like world chops mixed with like punk fury.
Right.
Man.
He claims to have a big influence from like Middle Eastern music because he grew up in Beirut.
Right. That's interesting. But clearly, at some
There's
point,
also a big
he got a hold of some
dub
punk
and
rock,
reggae,
something,
yeah.
or just maybe it was Keith Moon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to him about it, but
You know what I was thinking of? People always talk about like his hi-hat work, amazing.
it's awesome.
But I think one thing that's really cool and weird about him is that I think in traditional rock drumming, your hi-hat or ride hand is either playing, eighth or quarter notes
Yeah.
or an ostinato, right?
Right.
And the sort of the comping or the improvisation is between the kick and the snare. Mm-hmm. And he kind of, what he does is he keeps the snare on the backbeat, and his independence is between his ride and his kick.
Right.
Which is fucking weird.
It's awesome.
It's really weird and creative and unique.
Yeah, for sure. It's a total Stewart Copeland thing. I can hear it right now in my mind. Some of the bell patterns that he
and
plays.
it's really, you've tried to play Hunter, and it's like, I feel like I don't know how to play.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to just keeping time with your good hand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got it to where I keep more time just with my left foot bouncing on my hi-hat, and that
Right.
makes it a little bit easier for subdivisions and then playing some of that off-bell stuff that he did. But it was funny. Me and my buddy, we were listening to some Police the other night, and probably Ghost in the Machine or something. Maybe, I think that's the one that has the song Omega Man on it.
Mm-hmm.
And every so many bars, he likes to throw a flam in to kind of signify, all right, this is like the 8-bar, whatever, count now, we're starting again. And we started to hear that pattern. It was hilarious. We were laughing our asses off. But once again, his flams, the bell, the
And what a
hi-hat
flam
work,
it is.
he's got one badass flam.
It is.
I mean, when your snare cracks like that, all rim shots, crack.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
You mentioned John Bonham as well. Just had a was it his birth? Yeah, it was his birthday that I think he
People were
just
posting.
passed.
Yeah.
That's right. I still, of course, listen to that all the time. I've got no shortage of Led Zeppelin records, and
You know what I gotta say about him that I think people don't talk about enough? That
it's
is
his
really,
groove.
it's the ghost notes on the snare.
Oh, yeah, great ghost
between
notes.
the
Yeah.
eighth notes.
Yeah.
That is what makes it sound like there's a shaker.
yeah.
That's like, and all the '80s hair metal bands that claimed to love Zeppelin, none of them do that.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Well, he had. Well, you have to give some credit to, I think, John Paul Jones. I think when you have a bass player that good playing behind the beat and kind of stretching that stuff out and having a feel like that. One of my buddies, killer drummer, would always, I would see him after shows and be like, dude, you got such a killer feel. And he would say, man, it's all about the company you keep. And
It does help.
Oh,
It definitely helps.
because they can reinforce it. If they feel you pushing a little bit, you'll feel that. Maybe you wind back,
Yeah.
And I think having John Paul Jones there in the pocket like that,
Yes.
and then splitting the difference with all the melodic stuff that he did to comp what Page was doing, and then just locking in with Bonham, it was amazing. But then, of course, as you said, the ghost notes, the feel, the everything about it. It's the sound. I mean, on the
sound,
records,
that's the
come
other thing.
on, man.
That's the other thing.
What
It's
the
like
fuck?
It's like the front head on the kick.
Yes.
The really not using close mics a lot.
Right.
That kind of stuff. It's,
Yeah. And that's the like old school miking technique. You had to be really have a dynamic sense and play evenly to capture that.
Right.
And he had that.
Sometimes it can be harder to do it the other way. Like if you only have close mics and you're in a
You hear every
really
single
dead
imperfection.
Yeah, in a really dead drum booth, it's like
is
wow. Like I'm like playing some disco beat and you're
right
slightly
about it.
flamming between the kick and the snare. You're like, God, I suck.
Yes.
And you don't hear that in a big, loud, cavernous room.
True. Absolutely true. Do you know the story? Did they for when the levee breaks? Did they record that in a tower and slow the tape down?
I saw a video on YouTube about that recently, and he's like, the guy was like, "This is that slapback is from a tape delay. It's not physically
Right.
There is room, a lot of room from the stairwell, but they also put a slapback on it.
Sure. Did they slow the tape down?
I don't
Do you
know.
know?
I don't know.
That's the one that I'm always curious about.
Yeah.
Because the pitch of it, and it is so slow.
Yeah.
But then again, it's him. I don't know. That's one of the songs.
There are a couple of fills that sound like kind of like a double stroke. But like you wouldn't play a double stroke that slow. That'd be a weird choice.
Right.
So I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things. I don't know, the mystique about it. It can live on forever. Who knows? But that is one of the songs that I always throw on late at night and just love to hear it.
Yeah.
Cranked.
So do you play like the when you're playing that groove? Do you play the slap the slap, whatever the
to try
on
to
the
comp
kick.
for that delay.
Yeah, do you do that or not? That's like a weird choice.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's one of the reasons why it's the
Yeah.
production of that
Yeah.
makes it kind of hard to reproduce.
You know who else? This is now getting like repetitive, but Stewart Copeland also used a lot of delay,
Oh yeah.
like on Walking on the Moon.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, and I just recently last night saw a live version of it where the sound man, the front of house guy, put delay on the entire kit, not like the hi-hat or anything.
Oh, just the whole thing.
Like for the entire song, and it sounds like a total mess. It's kind of crazy. I was like, what is going on here?
Oh man.
Sorry, Stewart, I love you.
Yes, I do too. I do too. New record. We talked about it. The process, the whole thing. It's coming out when, and you have a show nearby as well. What's happening with all that?
So we are doing a record release show at Rough Trade, playing maybe like 5 or 6 songs.
Okay.
And then after that, we're having a party which includes artwork from the album,
Sick.
which will be at 67 West Street in Greenpoint, which is a photography studio. So
Cool.
we're going to have a hangout there.
Okay.
Excuse me. It's free and open to the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once again, John, obviously on the artwork for this.
And also our friend Marold I forgot his last name. Damn it. He does the interior art. John does the jacket.
Gotcha. And did I read somewhere that this was the last one of the colored themes?
That is, as of now.
As of now.
Correct.
Okay.
But I always like to point out that this one is not. Gold is a metal, and gray is a lack of color.
Oh, look at this, man. The physicist weighs in.
Exactly. So
Look at you putting that shit to...
So it's like not really. And honestly, purple is
combination of colors, I guess?
Yeah.
It's not on the color chart?
exactly. There's no purple wavelength.
Okay.
It's a color that our brains make up by combining red and blue wavelengths.
Okay.
Purple only exists in our mind.
Well, and on people when they choose to wear it, and in particular, I always think white people wearing it looks a little funny.
Purple was also the color of royalty in ancient times because it was purple dye came from I think like a seashell or some snail or something. It was really expensive.
Yeah. I'm not. You won't see me wearing purple nor turquoise anytime soon.
I don't think I ever wore purple.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. After these shows, what do y'all have going on in 2019?
We've got a really busy year, which I'm looking forward to. We're doing a week of in-stores.
Okay.
Just to get people stoked to buy records.
Yeah.
And then we go to South America and we do Mexico City, Santiago, Buenos Aires. And
Oh yeah, you going
Sao Paulo.
home to your people?
And I'm going home to my people.
Oh,
I haven't
shit.
been back in 3 years, and I've only played with my solo project there, never with any of my bands. So I'm very excited. It's going to be awesome. The only downer about this tour is that it's literally show, fly.
No time to hang.
There's zero downtime.
Okay.
It's going to be really hectic, but it's going to be amazing. And then like a week or two off, and then we do a 5-week U.S. tour in the summer of the Southeast.
Yeah.
And then like a couple of weeks off, and then we do like 10 weeks in Europe.
Wow, 10 weeks.
Yeah. We've never done a tour that long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, are y'all going? Y'all going to Eastern Europe, or y'all going?
We're actually supporting a band called Volbeat,
Okay.
which is way, way bigger than us in Europe.
Yeah, I know of the band.
And so it's going to be arena shows.
No way.
So it's going to be, we're seeing if, I don't imagine that Volbeat fans are Baroness fans.
Yeah.
But it is an opportunity to make new fans.
Nice.
And if it's an arena show and you convince 10% of the crowd, that's still 1,000 people
Yeah.
that now like your band that never heard you
For
before.
sure.
So that's a good opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw at some point, are y'all doing both tours with both Torch and Whores?
No. The summer tour is Torch pallbearer and worn women.
Gotcha. I love Torch.
I don't think we're playing with horns at all.
Okay, Horrors is jumping on, I think, on that later, maybe, or something, maybe just with Torch or something.
Yeah.
I saw that recently, but two of my favorite kind of low-tuned, heavy stoner killer.
Be sick.
Yeah, Torch is awesome, man. Rick is a killer drummer.
Yeah.
And the last show that I saw both you and Nick at was that Yob show with Voivod at Warsaw.
Yes.
Yeah, speaking of stoner doom.
Yes.
Damn, man, Yob for a trio, they crank it out.
No, they totally like dominated that space.
It's crazy, right?
Awesome. Yeah, they're great.
That's a funny venue. I've seen more stoner doom bands there, and they tend to sound good. And then sometimes bands, because for the listeners, the venue that we're talking about is almost like playing in a high school gymnasium or something.
The Warsaw.
The Warsaw. And I think the slower and the stonier the band is, the better it sounds. And Yob sounded incredible that night.
Right, because it has a natural reverb.
Yeah, and the faster and kind of more technical it gets, it can get a little lost in there. But
exactly.
Stoner and Doom is killing it up in there.
No, it was epic.
Good catching up with you, Sebastian.
Right on,
if anyone's curious about Sebastian's backstory with drumming, feel free to check out the previous interview that we did at St. Vitus that we were referencing earlier. Man, good luck in 2019. Sounds like you got a busy year ahead of you.
I do. It's going to be great.
Thanks for hanging, man.
Right on.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to Sebastian for rapping. Always good to catch up with him, and no shortage of great drumming and great projects between Baroness Trans Am and his solo stuff and more. Hope you enjoyed the chat. Hope you're enjoying the weather. If it's cool there in the summertime when the weather is fine, shout out to Mungo Jerry. We'll catch you on the next one, y'all. Crash, bang, boom.